Wield Warlock. Oftentimes Warlocks are overseen by other players because of a simple mechanical feature. Their entire system revolves around Eldrich Blast, a cantrip. Cantrips are known to be weak. Cantrips are known not to provide very much. Warlocks are hybrid fighter magical casters, but they only get 2 spell slots. Spell slots at maximum level they can cast, but only 2. They get to swap around spells, they don't learn that many, but they are very strong at what they do. Now, understandably, they are not the most flexible of classes. That's the biggest issues Warlock have, is that they get so many features all centered around the wonderful Eldritch Blast. But let's get to that later. First, I'm going to help you figure out the basics. So you got Will, he's a Warlock of the Fiend, you have a couple of cantrips that you've learned, stuff, and what do? You switch out Blade Ward instantly to Friends, Mage Hand, or Minor Illusion. Those 3 are going to help you a lot. Mostly Friends, to be honest. That is always amazing to have if you just role-playing or just want to support your main character. Casting that along with Guidance almost always ensures that you're going to succeed in your throw. Unless, of course, it's 20 plus, but that's later on in the campaign. We're only looking to level 5 today for Act 1. An Eldritch Blast, because as you shall see, as you are leveling up, it is going to be imperative that you have it. Now, you have 3 options for the subclass. You have the Fiend, the Great Old One, and the Archfey. All of them give you unique features and spells. The Fiend has the Armor of Agathis and the Arms of Hadar. That's the initial spells. Really powerful spells. Armor of Hadar is an AoE that does 2d6 necrotic damage to everyone around you. And the Armor of Agathis gives you 5 hit points, and anyone who takes damage while this armor is on takes 5 cold damage. The passive is you get the Dark One's Blessing. Whenever you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points, this gift from the patron grants you 4 temporary hit points. Which is great, because as you level up, this increases and it becomes more powerful. It is based on your charisma modifier and a number of other things. So why not go the Fiend? Then you have the Great Old One. Here you have Dissonant Whispers, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and the ability to land a critical hit, and that and all enemies nearby needing to succeed a Wisdom saving throw or become frightened until the end of their next turn. This is amazing if you build a character that's focused on critical hits, and it's all about using entropy and manipulation. Frightened enemies are easy pickings for anyone in your party to hit, so that's going to be always good. The Archfey. The Archfey is one of my favorites because it gives you Fairy Fire. Fairy Fire is an incredibly strong spell. It basically turns everyone in a radius to glittering lights, and everyone for 10 turns gets advantage with attack rolls against them, so that's always great. And you get Sleep. Sleep is a very nice spell as it allows you to essentially knock out a number of enemies out of combat. And your action is Fey Presence. Charm or frighten your foes using your Guile, so essentially 2 turns of Charm or Frighten in a 3 meter AoE from you. The Fiend is the easiest and simplest of all of these. If you're going for a frontline fighter, the Fiend is what you want. You're gonna be whipping out small creatures left, right, and center, killing this, that, and the other thing really fast. Now, it's important to note in the first few levels, Warlocks suffer quite significantly, especially till level 3, level 4. But level 5 is when you get your most powerful bump, as with many other classes, but with Warlocks especially and other magical but related classes, you feel that bump, that power surge a lot more. With regards to spells, Armor of Agathis is amazing, Arms of Hadar is amazing. If you want to swap Armor of Agathis with something which is easier to use, Hellish Rebuke, I would recommend it. Hellish Rebuke is a reaction spell, it does a lot of damage, and you get to choose to cast it or not. It doesn't use your ability, and it's great. Hacks is also amazing, but you don't need it for level 1. For level 1, Hellish Rebuke and Arms of Hadar are going to be more than capable of wiping out most of your enemies. Importantly, with regards to ability points, how do you build this character? You could go a number of ways, but primarily the first thing that cannot change is you need to maximize your charisma. 17 in charisma straight out of the bat. You're going to put your +2 and all of points into charisma as much as you can. Next, you have two options. You're either going to go strength or dexterity. I do recommend dexterity, as for a simple reason, warlocks can't really wear armor apart from light armor, so they're going to suffer a lot with regards to if you go down the strength route for their weapons. Go dexterity for finesse weapons and you're going to do wonders. Constitution is your next maximizer, and I would go 14. Later on we'll push it up higher, maybe to a 16. That will give you more health. If you do want to go 15 and completely min-max your build, like utterly min-max your build, then you can. Then your character is going to suffer on intelligence, wisdom, strength, so you do not want that. You want to only have at most one dumb stat, but most two dumb stats. In this case, I would recommend always get wisdom to at least 10. This will help your build somewhat and make your character a little bit more resilient in general. Strength doesn't matter that much because dexterity will cover most of it, with the exception of jumping and carrying stuff, but that's absolutely okay. Your constitution is going to also help your dexterity with regards to strength, but your intelligence and wisdom, if either of them, you really suffer against skill checks later on. Now you get skills with proficiency, and since you're human, you get an additional skill. Now this additional skill you can put again into anything. However, it is good to put, especially if you're not playing as the main character, stealth. Boost it up. You want your stealth to go as high as possible. Intimidation is great, and deception is great. So you get +5 on these, and you get +5 on stealth. That's always gonna really hit well. Again, all of these you're gonna suffer because you have low intelligence, but that's absolutely okay. That's gonna be your level 1. You're gonna min-max will a little bit if you're looking at going this way, but trust me, it will work out for the best. For level 2, we get an additional spell slot. And this is going to be lovely. We're going to get another level 1 spell slot, which we're going for Hex. Why are we going for Hex? Hex is, essentially speaking, the bread and butter of Warlocks. It's a bonus action spell that allows you to give a disadvantage towards an ability if you're choosing, to an enemy if you're choosing. Then every time you hit that enemy, you deal an additional 1d6 necrotic damage to them, which hurts a lot to them, a lot. And this levels up as you go along, so once you're hitting like level 5 spells, the damage is going to increase exponentially. But what's really cool, and this is what I meant with regards to having the cantrip of Eldritch Blast, is Eldritch Invocations. Eldritch Invocations are going to give your Eldritch Blast that amazing power. Firstly, and always, you go for Agonizing Blast. Agonizing Blast makes your Eldritch Blast stronger because it adds your charisma modifier to the damage it deals. So it's no longer a 1d10, it's a 1d10 plus 3, because your charisma modifier is plus 3 at level 2. So that's a total of 13 damage, which is more than enough to one-shot almost every single enemy that you're going to meet at level 2, with the exception of bosses and mini-bosses. Secondly, you go for Repelling Blast. Ignore everything else. Everything else is really interesting and exciting. No, it doesn't matter. You want Repelling Blast. Repelling Blast will ensure that the creatures that you hit are pushed 4.5 meters away from you. You can push creatures off cliffs. You can push creatures off anything if you hit them with your Eldritch Blast. And what we're building here is a magical handgun that can shoot Eldritch Blasts and then charge in with any sort of weapon, normally a finesse type weapon, and slash the living bejesus out of the enemy. You could start replacing spells, but hey, you've already min-maxed that, so you don't need to do that. Level 3. Level 3 is your first minor power bump. For a variety of reasons, you get access to level 2 spells, and all of your spells are now being cast at level 2. Level 2 spells, Misty Step. Misty Step is one of the most useful spells that you can get. You'll be able to get access to other spells later on, but your entire purpose is to survive long enough to be able to do your damage, hit and run. And Misty Step is going to allow you to do just that. You're going to charge in, hit with your weapon, you're going to want to run away and hit with your Eldritch Blast. Misty Step is the trick for you. It's a bonus action that allows you to teleport up to 18 meters anywhere within your viewing distance. Absolutely incredible. I have it on almost all of my characters in one way or other, sometimes multiple times, because I put multiple different scrolls or items that allow me to cast Misty Step a lot of times. This saved me so many times. I cannot even begin to explain how many times Misty Step saved me. Then you choose the Pact Boon. You get 3 options. Alright, you get Pact of the Chain, where you get the service of a familiar, a face spirit that takes a form of your choosing. This is an animal, an imp, or a quasit, which is like a demonic version of the devilish imp. You have the option of Pact of the Blade, where you summon a pact weapon or bind one that you're wielding, making it magical. Pact weapon are the user's spellcasting, the wielder's spellcasting modifier instead of strength or dexterity. Now, we did boost our dexterity up, so we don't necessarily need to take Pact of the Blade, but it is good to keep in mind. Finally, Pact of the Tome. Your patron grants you a grimoire called the Book of Shadows, which allows you to cast Guidance, Vicious Mockery, and Torn Whip, 3 cantrips of choice. The real choice here, though, is Pact of the Blade or Pact of the Chain. Pact of the Blade would allow you to empower items that you already have and use them to great effect. I found it to be quite useful in my playthroughs. However, Pact of the Chain allows you to summon an imp or a quasit. The animal is not that useful, but having an imp or a quasit to your side just adds more to your turn economy. So I recommend doing that. These familiars are really strong, or they can do a variety of things. They can hurt, taunt, and damage enemies. Because of that, they can also cause enemies to lose their turn as they waste a turn blowing up your imp, your quasit. So keep that in mind. Level 4 is going to be quite straightforward. Level 4, you are going to pick an additional spell. Now at this point, an additional cantrip first. At this point, it doesn't matter which one. I would recommend Mage Hand just for the simple reason Mage Hand is incredibly useful in the game. Now, Hold Person is something that I will never ever stop saying how amazing it is, being able to allow critical hits to happen on, well, it's just amazing. However, you could also go with Mirror Image in this regards. Survivability is key. You damage spells, you don't really need them. You're not going to really need them. But these spells are quite strong. Hold Person is going to be very useful. Mirror Image is going to allow you to have more armor class. With regards to feats. Now feats, if you're really an expert in the game, you could go with a variety. Alert is incredibly strong. You could go with, Lucky, breaks the game, Mobile, Polar Master. Honestly, I love Polar Master. It's just fighting with polearms is my halberds, glaives. Give them to me. Love them. You could go Sentinel, which just allows you to use your reaction to make an attack against an enemy that moves close to an ally. It is just amazing. But for now, I would recommend get your charisma to 18. This is going to give you a +4 to your charisma checks and get your constitution up just 1 more point. This point, you want your constitution to hit 16, and we're going to be able to do that the next time we get the ability score improvement later on. Charisma we will get to 20, constitution will get higher. just slowly building up is important. You could, if you wanted, increase your dexterity as well, but dexterity plus 3 is more than enough to do anything that you'd like at this point. Keep in mind, in this game there exist gloves for dexterity and strength and a tiara for intelligence, so these stats you can really play around with. There's also very endgame constitution modifiers items and wisdom modifier items, but though they are so endgame that it's not really worth it. Constitution and charisma up, and now we have our level 5. Level 5 is when we get our new class feature, Deepened Pact. Please, with your service, the Otherworldly Patron adds new boons to your terms of your pact. Your pact holders gain an extra attack with their pact weapon. The Pact of the Chains gains an extra attack for their familiar. The Pact of the Tome gains enemy dead, haste, and call lightning once per long rest. So here we're looking at a variety of things, which is really interesting with Warlocks. It tells you what the other pacts got, almost as if suggesting you should perhaps later on switch from one pact to the other. Since we went with Pact of the Chain, we're getting our familiar to be able to attack another time. It's not the most effective thing, one would think. I believe turn economy is the most important thing, but the most amazing thing is the Eldrich invocation that we get. We get an additional one of these. Now, you could choose to go with anything else, but always look at empowering your ability to survive and your ability to use Eldritch Blast. Now, in this regards, there isn't an Eldritch invocation that you can choose that empowers your Eldritch Blast. There are two which will help you use your Eldritch Blast even better. First one, Mire the Mind. You cast Slow with a Warlock spell slot. Slow is a very powerful spell. You are able to control the battlefield, allowing you to position yourself in a better place. Enemies move slower, they attack less, they have less ability and less actions, etc. And Devil's Sight gives you 24 meters of ability to see magical and non-magical darkness, allowing you to, even if when you're blinded, which will happen a lot, especially in Act 2, which you're about to go in when you hit level 5, you're ending Act 1, you're clearing up the last few bosses, and you're preparing to go into Act 2, this is going to be really useful. One with the shadows is alright, it's not best, but it could also be another option. The others, I don't feel that they are that great. They do not give you anything unique. Mire the Mind is my choice in this regard. With regards to spells, you've got Slow, and I do recommend, because it's always fun to use, Fireball. Fireball is just amazing on any character. You could go for Hanger of Hadar, which does similar amounts of damage. 8d6 fire damage versus 4d6 acid and cold damage. They do cause blinding at the end of the turn, but the power of a fireball is just unprecedented at this level. That is Will, level 5, Pact of the Chain. And that's how you build Will to a level 5 monster. Thanks for watching. If you want another hero, another character leveled up to level 5, or even higher levels, let me know and I will make them for you. What I would think would be the best, feedback is always welcome. Subscribe to the channel if you're still here after all of this time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.